Regionals presented by Capital One. A little touch of gray in the sky tonight here in Stanford, California. It's the LSU Tigers out of the SEC, champions of the Baton Rouge Regional and the number 9 national seed, and the 8th-seeded Stanford Cardinal, who were winners here at the Stanford Regional last weekend. One of the players who's been the heartbeat of the LSU program over the last 5 years, Taylor Pleasance. This is her last go-round and last chance to get to the World Series for a program that hasn't been there in 7 years. And Nyjah Kennedy in her freshman season last year helped propel the Cardinal to Oklahoma City, and they're 2 wins away from getting there once again. Last weekend we had 64 teams. We started yesterday with 16, and by the end of the weekend we'll be down to 8 of the teams that go to the Women's College World Series. With that, we say hello. Welcome here to Smith Family Stadium. My cousins, along with Kenzie Fowler, the All-American pitcher at the University of Arizona. And what a couple days we've had here to start Super Regionals, including number 16 Texas A&M with the upset in Austin today over number 1 Texas.
You dream about this weekend if you're a player. You want to make it to Oklahoma City. This is the step one. It's the biggest week of the season. And so, you know, we're going to end it up on the West Coast here.
Expectations really high for LSU because of their loaded senior class this year. They started off a perfect 24-0, second best start in the history of the program. And Beth Torina this year has 3 bona fide pitchers.
Had 2 elite staffs in this Super Regional, doing it different ways. We're going to start with LSU, a trio of arms all getting action last weekend, hosting their regional. So why is that important? It means they are equally rested and ready to go. And as rested as you can ready to go going into the most important week of the season. Kelly Lynch, Sydney Berzon, and Raylene Chafin all getting it done in different ways.
And Kelly Lynch is going to be hitting 3rd in the lineup tonight, going up against Nyjah Kennedy and the Stanford Cardinal. Jessica Allister, Stanford's head coach, who played in their first 2 World Series appearances, said coming into this season, the only short things were catcher and pitcher. Everything else was up for grabs, and now they find themselves 2 wins away from going back to OKC.
This is the best pitcher in college softball, Nyjah Kennedy. If you are new to our sport and you haven't been tuning in, number 1, welcome. But number 2, this is who you want to watch. Nyjah Kennedy was last season's freshman of the year. In her sophomore form, she's even better. We saw her last weekend in the regionals for Stanford. This team is different when she is in the circle.
She was last year's NFCA Freshman of the Year. This year, one of 3 finalists for Player of the Year. And when she is in the circle, players got to be disciplined. Look out for the rise ball. As Beth Torina said, first run might win it tonight. First in this best of 3 series. LSU, Stanford, and the Tigers come to the plate when we return.
She was not an All-American a season ago, but pencil her in. Or be her in this season.
And that was only on a technicality of not reaching the innings threshold because of a couple weekends she took off for rest during Pac-12 play. Kira Chan at 302 in the number 2 spot. And these 2 teams among the 16 teams still playing this weekend. Stanford hitting 275 is 14th in the field. LSU at 288 is 12th. Both of their respective OPSs are in the bottom 5 of teams remaining. But the Stanford offense improved from a year ago. They've doubled their home run number. And OPS almost 70 points higher from a year ago. Ali Kaneshiro on deck, or rather 2 spots away with 11 homers. Gall on deck with 10 of them. And each of those hit home runs last weekend.
52 at this stage in the game, when you compare that to a lot of the other squads that are out competing this weekend, still just not a lot.
Chan just gets a piece.
to push it, that outside drop. Just a ball off. First inning establishing the zone. Just has so much movement. Yeah, I think that's the right call. And I have a big zone, so if I say ball, then all right.
Scott Mayer is behind the plate tonight. Mike Bartling at first. Aaron Peterson at second. Michael Hernandez at third. For the first pitch temperature tonight, 59 degrees. High chop third base and foul. I was talking to our colleague Kevin Brown, who was working with Amanda Scarborough in Austin, Texas earlier today. That Aggies Longhorns thriller, a one-run Texas A&M win as they snapped a 7-game losing streak there in Austin. 94 degrees during the game. Kevin said, could we trade about 20 degrees each? We go up into the 70s, they go down into the 70s. Nice happy medium. 3-2 is high, ball 4. So Kern walks on 4 pitches. Chan takes ball 4, and the tying run comes to the plate with Ava Gall. Under the aegis of Jessica Allister, the Stanford alum in her 7th season. Took them to the World Series last year, a super 2 years ago. Program went 4-68 in the Pac-12 in the 3 years before she arrived. A wizard of getting programs exactly where she wants them to be. Was at Minnesota before coming here. Got them to #1 in the country during her tenure. Ball checks her swing, doesn't hold. And it's quickly 0-2 on the freshman first baseman.
Berzon is just going to spread you vertically. You're going to see a lot of drop balls down in the zone, but when she can surprise you with the rise ball upstairs, that's so tough for hitters. Usually hitters are sitting one side of the plate, but when you have to protect low and then your eyeballs look up to protect upstairs, that's when you can really play.
That's what they love about her, is the ability to be whatever they need her to be on a given day.
Almost just whiplash. Rise ball here and then drop ball down. It's one thing that Nyjah Kennedy does not have. She's upstairs with the rise, and then she has the off speed. It's also off of her rise. So 2 pitches that are tunneling in the same way, but nothing that tunnels down. Berzon has both ways.
Ball works from behind after back-to-back walks to start. Grounder, shortstop, Pleasance, the scoop for 1. Petty's turn is not in time. Fielder's choice, Pleasance to Petty, and it's 1st and 3rd.
Beth Trina coming out of the dugout a little bit, wondering if she saw something here. It looks safe at first base, live from Ava Gall, hustling down the line from the left side. Definitely a close play.
I think that was the question, too. It looked like she went out to ask Raylene Gutierrez over at first, what'd you think on that play?
Yep.
So challenges retained, 1st and 3rd. And the only right-handed bat in the lineup for Stanford, at least in the starting lineup, is Ali Kaneshiro. Just like some of the players on the LSU roster, Pleasance, Briggs, this is the last go-round for Kaneshiro as well, as one of these program tone setters. Pleasance lays back on it. The throw is in time to get Kaneshiro, but it scores Kern. So Stanford is on the board. They answer a 3-run top of the 1st with the RBI ground out.
Looks like Coach Allister is going to review this at first base. 2 bang-bang plays right in a row.
So this is going to go to replay review. Smart timing here, because you've got something going clearly against Berzon. You don't know how many innings are going to look like this, where you've got multiple runners on base, and instead of 2 out, just a runner at second, you could have 1 down at 1st and 2nd.
Especially, I feel like Stanford is having really good at-bats right now. Like we saw from LSU jump out. Their good at-bats resulted in singles and base hits. We've seen the 2 walks. Ooh, she might be safe.
The ball's got to be in the back of Gutierrez's glove at first, and she is as great as they come at first base in terms of being able to stretch for a ball. So they have to have indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field, and especially that last angle, it looks like the foot on the bag and the ball in the glove are almost simultaneous. So the umpires here do not make the decision. It goes back to a central location and gets relayed back to the 4-person umpiring crew here in Stanford, California.
Well, the plus is that Stanford was able to score a run. So you love that for the Cardinal, able to respond offensively. LSU comes out with a statement 3 runs. Oof.
And Ali Kaneshiro is safe at first base. An RBI infield single. And Jessica Allister's challenge pays off.
I want to know what that feels like as a coach. You make that move and then you're right. That was a gutsy one. She kind of hesitated about it. Was looking over to Coach Merchant at first base going, what do you think? Yeah, should we do it? Okay, let's go. But you're right, it changes the inning.
And so Stanford goes pinch runner. It's Kylie Buckley who comes in at second base to pinch run for Ava Gall. The first and second. And the batter is Kaylin Koch, the designated player. Number 5 in the lineup. Pops it up out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Good crowd. A lot of purple.
Well, maybe there are 2 fans here who knew something that we didn't know, at least ahead of time. Last weekend, it was Cal State Fullerton, St. Mary's, Mississippi State. But on Saturday, we saw 2 LSU fans in the house. That's how to play again for Koch.
It was hard to miss them. Decked out. Purple and gold.
Beth Torino, the Tigers head coach, was really adamant about wanting her team to be home this weekend because of their RPI, because of their strength of schedule. And a razor's edge to decide the 8 seed Stanford staying at home and the number 9 seed LSU. But Stanford knows what that's like. Last year, the number 9 seed, and they had to go on the road for super regionals. And so really the big difference, the committee has so many things to look at, Kenzie, but one of the things they can decide on is what you see at the bottom there, and that's how you finish the season, and Stanford was decidedly better. Koch is retired on the strikeout, the first for Berzon, the second out of the inning.
Well, you just think about the LSU seniors and the last 2 years. To be honest, I'm just happy for them that they're at this point. Not being able to get out of their own regional last year. Big upset. So step 1, get out of the regional. Step 2, if we need to go on the road, let's do it. We saw Texas A&M go into Austin and get game 1 done. On the road, you want to talk about hostile environment? You can make the argument, in my opinion, that Texas A&M was better than a 16 seed. It's just so many things that, what if this, what if that? Hey, seeds no matter, play ball. I don't care where it's going to be. We're in super regionals. Can we get to Oklahoma City?
Jay Berry, tremendous weekend in the 4 games the Cardinal played here at home Friday, Saturday, Sunday last weekend. 5 for 11 in her first NCAA tournament action. Couple of doubles, couple of walks, and drove in 3 and fouls this one off her foot. LSU with 3 in the top of the first. Kelly Lynch an RBI double. Raylene Gutierrez an RBI single. Your Ali Kaneshiro with an RBI single for the Cardinal. 2-2. Ball gets by Bergeron into the backstop. And so Buckley is over to third. Kaneshiro to second. Stanford a swing away from tying it up.
I think you have to think about Berzon as a drop ball pitcher, and she has the ability to throw it down in the zone, and you will see wild pitches. And so you think back to the replay review, Jess Allister absolutely thinking about that base running. Got to have
Petty deep in the hole, second base. She pump fake, and the throw. She is out at first base, and the inning is over. Well, we said pitcher's duel. The softball gods thought otherwise in the first. 3-1. Back here on the farm, we go to the second. Game one in this best-of-3 series. And LSU in the postseason, similar to what they looked like pitching-wise throughout the course of the regular season. They were second in ERA in the SEC behind only Tennessee, and that's carried on here into regional weekend.
And I love for Coach Tarina, she got 3 different arms, some action. So testing the waters in postseason, it's always that new season. And sometimes your hottest hand may not be the hottest hand in postseason. So you get a look at 3 different arms, and they each look so good, dominant.
7 batters came to the plate in the first, so it's 8-9-1 for the Tigers, and it begins with the freshman Madison Manning. Third base, they've seen 4 different players this year over at third after Danica Coffey tore her ACL back on March 1st. She'll be back next year, but it wasn't until their series against Tennessee in the 3rd weekend of April that Manning got the call to play third base. Primarily for her defense, and certainly a welcome to the SEC moment as well, when the first pitcher you face is Carlin Pickens. Off the hands, 2 hops, and Gall makes it out number 1. The Nigeri Kennedy in the first inning allowed 3 runs for only the 3rd time in her career after last weekend, helping power Stanford here to the 2nd round.
Yeah, just what LSU was able to do in the first inning. It's something that's just simply not done against Nyjah in the circle.
How do you think she felt in that inning, given it was something that was so out of the ordinary?
Probably a little nervous. This is something that does not happen to me. She threw 7 first pitch strikes to seven batters, so she was attacking early, and so LSU was ready for that. To Manning in her last at bat, she threw Riseball out of the zone, probably having that conversation in the dugout. Hey, they're very aggressive. How do we counter? Let's run the Rise up more out of the zone earlier than we need to and kind of pitch backwards. Sometimes you'll have to do that. After the sacrifice bunt from Taylor Pleasance, it was strikeout and strikeout.
She lands the off speed to get to 1 and 2. This is where, as a hitter, you definitely expect rise ball, where she gets a chase out of the zone almost half the time.
It's a great take. Especially it's inside too, well located inside and able to lay off for Carly Petty. Now you're right back in the at-bat.
Petty, the 2nd-year grad transfer from Oklahoma State. She's trying to get to the World Series for the 3rd time in her career. Swing and a miss as Kennedy goes back upstairs. Her 3rd strikeout.
I like that Nyjah didn't give up on the rides, even though she saw the take from Carly Petty, goes right back to it upstairs. It's her bread and butter. That's her best pitch when the at-bat is on the line. Goes upstairs with the rides, and you can just see the smile there from Petty. Sometimes you just have to shake your head and acknowledge, okay, got my swing off, but that's an elite rise ball.
Back to the top, Mackenzie Rudity. 1 for 1 with a single. Kennedy, when she throws the rise outside the strike zone, it's a swing and a miss 47% of the time, compared to the Division I average of 30%. But it's not just the location, it's the velocity too. Averages almost 71, which is in the 98th percentile at the Division I level.
And when she wants to spread the plate, side to side, she just throws it off her rise. So every pitch that she throws is off of one pitch.
Not to mention one of the fastest pitchers ever. How lucky are we as fans that 2 of the 3 are just in their second year of college?
I can't imagine how hard Monica Abbott would have thrown if she would have been allowed to have her back foot off of the mound. Just think about that for a second. There's a new rule a couple of seasons ago where we've allowed our pitchers, instead of having both feet on the rubber, you can have your foot start back. And if Monica Abbott would have thrown in this era, she might have hit 80. It allows you to use your legs so much more, use your quads, bend down, start lower.
3-2 to Runity. Off the bat, a foul ball. Not to mention, at her height as well, the ball would have been on you you couldn't blink and it would be there.
That's the thing about Pickens. Her stride is so long. When she strides, she's outside the circle. You have like 0 reaction time, and she's throwing 75.
Three-two is inside from Kennedy. That is ball 4, her first walk of the day, and a very close take there from Runity.
Well, the reason this is a ball is where Ali Kaneshiro is set up behind the plate. She's set up on the outside part of the plate to Runity, and Kennedy misses over the heart of the plate, but it's just the setup from the catcher. It's a hard look for the umpire behind the plate. It looks more of a reach than it is. If Kaneshiro is more just center, it's strike 3 all day.
Briggs was looking to bunt last inning, got into a 2-strike hole, and she's late there on the rise for strike 1. Defense, though, knows what to expect with her in the batter's box. She's going to hit the ball on the ground 70% of the time, the highest rate on this team. A 1 is through the middle, base hit. Briggs aboard for the second time.
Well, she earned that changeup because of how aggressive she was on the first pitch. And sometimes changeups, that's the worst pitch that you can give a slap hitter. They have the ability just to keep their hands back. Even though their legs are gone, she just has to poke it, throw your barrel at it. Even though your body's a little bit more out in front, slap hitters and changeups, not always the best combination.
Kelly Lynch got turned around on the first pitch as she takes a strike. Moved into the 3rd spot today after not hitting higher than 5th in the lineup all year. Majority of her being penciled into the lineup was either 5th or 8th throughout the regular season. Roller to Mailer. And the second baseman turns shortstop, takes care of it. The inning is over. Kennedy gets another strikeout and holds LSU. Still 3-1 Tigers. Jessica Alliser, Stanford Cardinal, first time hosting both a regional and a super since 2009. They were seeded 8th that year also. And this year, their 8th appearance in a super regional, 3rd straight. Last year, had to go across the country, had to play super early Pacific time. And they defeated Duke in 2 games. Nyjah Kennedy, Elena Vaughter in the circle. Vaughter going to South Carolina this year. So it's Kennedy helping propel this pitching staff as they look to get to the World Series for the 4th time. Bottom 3rd of the order, the sophomore River Mailer. Moving over from second base to short this year, which she said was definitely a transition that took some time because high school, travel ball, she played short, but was hurt her senior year going into college, so didn't get to play short that summer, and last year played second. So it had been about 2 full years before really going back into the 6th spot.
It was just such a veteran squad for Stanford. Graduated 5 seniors, and River Mailer was the one freshman hanging out at second base, surrounded by all the veterans. And so those big faces graduate, and now looking around, River Mailer's going, wait a minute, where did everybody go? Now I have to move over to shortstop, and all of a sudden finds herself in that veteran position as a sophomore. You went to the World Series as a freshman, but all of your seniors graduate, move on, and now you're the one with experience and a bunch of newbies to the left and right of you at shortstop.
But how much better could it be than to have a World Series winning shortstop as one of your coaches with Jessica Merchant, who was a starter there under Carol Hutchins at Michigan?
River said, I love having Coach Merchant just sit behind me at practice. We're working on defense. She's in my ear and in my pocket, trying to help me get better. An elite staff for Stanford. Coach Allister and Coach Nyberg, alums, and then Coach Merchant, who coaches first base, an alum from Michigan, national champion.
And adding Sarah Gronerwagen as well this year, who played for Allister at Minnesota, bronze medalist with Team Canada in 2020 at the Olympics. And Mailer didn't know until we told her yesterday. She hit the best of anybody on the roster last weekend. 5 of 10 at the plate. Berzon strikes her out. Second K for the sophomore. The Women's College World Series back in Oklahoma City, and the action begins Thursday, May 30th at 12 Eastern, live on ESPN. For more information on the 2024 Women's College World Series, go to http://www.ncaa.com. Official online home for NCAA championships. That is a hardliner right to Pleasance and Short. Emily Jones, who last weekend, for all but one game of the weekend, hit second in the lineup. Jessica Allister changing things around, and it's 2 up, 2 down. Berzon, after a little bit of a scramble to start the game in the first, has set down 4 in a row.
She's pumping the mitt right now. Her velocity is sneaky.
Effortless.
She can touch 70 easily. Talking about Nyjah's speed, 70 plus. Well, Sydney can bring it as well.
And ahead 0-2 on Caitlin Lim. Not just that, she'll give you a complete game. She'll give you 2 complete games in one through 14 innings in the SEC tournament on a wild night where there were 2 14-inning games where previously there had never been one. And she threw 208 pitches in a 2-1 win over Alabama. So she gets to the SEC network set after the game and goes, yeah, Mom, feels fine. A gamer.
Just the 1 earned run, wow. It's because she has the different looks. She can go rise. I can be a rise ball pitcher if you need me to. I can be a drop ball pitcher if you need me to. I can slow it down with the changeup.
Out toward left, it's Newland on the move, a foul ball. Credit to the hitters, the preparation from these staffs coming into this series. There has not been what you could qualify as an easy at-bat yet for the pitchers.
I think the difference between regional weekend, when you're preparing for 3 different teams that you have never scouted before, you don't know where they're coming from in terms of the country, who you're going to be facing, and then waiting a whole week versus one opponent. We've watched the film, we know who we're going to be facing, and now let's go replicate that in practice, and we have 1 pitcher, 2 pitchers to prepare for versus 10. It's just such a difference from last weekend to this weekend. This weekend it's just made the best adjustment win. And what do you have behind your ace pitcher if that adjustment is made? And so many times you will see this weekend it comes down to that number 2 on staff to come in and shut the door.
A couple of drops missed out of the zone from Berzon. third walk she's allowed. Goes back to the top of the lineup. She walked Kern. She walked Chan to start the first.
Well, that's the one you never want to walk. It's the obvious one. 2 outs, 9-hole hitter, and you issue the walk to turn the lineup over to the top and Taryn Kern, who is the queen of walks. This is when I like to watch Taryn Kern bat with runners on. Is she going to be aggressive? Probably not. She takes the first pitch almost every single time. She loves to hit with 2 strikes. And with the runner at first base, we'll see if she opens it up a little bit more.
And she only swings at pitches outside the strike zone just a little bit under 9% of the time, where the national average is 3 times that. Best player at the power conference level in laying off of pitches outside the zone. In fact, when she went into the portal and she first talked to Jessica Allister, which was not until after the World Series, because of course Stanford was locked in, she told Jessica Allister, because they were asking her, what are you like as a player? She said, I hate swinging at pitches outside the strike zone.
Just a moment ago, we showed her on-base percentage, well over 500. Batting average below 300. So she gets on because of her walk rate. She also gets hit by a lot of pitches.
20 times.
She stands toes to the chalk and is not afraid to wear it.
So it's no surprise to anybody that if she's down in the count, she works it to 3-2. With Lim at first and 2 out.
There's really no such thing as an outside pitch to Taryn Kern. You really just have only inside pitches because she's so toes up to the chalk. You throw it outside, it's a ball. You have to throw it on the plate or try and jam her, which is pretty much just down the middle because of how on the plate she is.
Couple of sophomore stars. Verzon to Kern, a second 3-2, a half swing. Pleasance, quick turn, and the inning is over. 2 in the books this Friday night here from Stanford, California. LSU in the lead. We start the weekend with 16 teams. Only 8 will advance to the Women's College World Series. And the first is the least surprising. The Oklahoma Sooners are on to the World Series, 18th straight postseason win, and the 8th straight year that they are to OKC as they try and make it 4 national championships in a row and become the first program to do that. With Kenzie Fowler, Mike Cousins with you here at Stanford. Top 3, LSU scored 3 against Nyjah Kennedy, a top 3 finalist for Player of the Year in the sport, and only the 3rd time in her 2-year career that she's yielded 3 runs in a game. Oklahoma yesterday, with their run rule victory, broke their own record of longest postseason winning streak, and they can sit back and wait because they and the Los Angeles Regional with UCLA and Georgia were Thursday starts. UCLA a winner 8-0 yesterday against the Dogs, and a 2-1 lead in the 3rd right now for the Bruins.
Well, Oklahoma already punching their ticket before our game is even halfway through. Our first game of the weekend. Of course, they played yesterday, but if anybody's going to do it, of course, it's Oklahoma in that senior class, man. I don't know if we'll see another senior class like the Sooner senior class looking for 4 straight national championships.
And the home runs just don't stop off the Sooner bats. Raylene Gutierrez, 3-1 sizzler into center field. And the senior with a leadoff single, she's 2 for 2.
Nyjah Kennedy pitched her backwards in that at-bat. First pitch was a changeup, it was a ball, and then she went out of the zone, fell behind 3-1, so then she has to go back into the zone, and Gutierrez is all over it. This is a hitter that if the pitch is in the zone, she doesn't miss. She's sitting on it. That's as good as you can stroke it right back up the middle against Kennedy in the circle.
matter how well-versed the team will be scouting report-wise, Beth Torina, the LSU head coach, said things always seem to be a little bit different for Taylor Pleasants. We'll go through, we'll talk about pitch percentages, locations, talk about the heat maps that we showed you earlier for Nyjah Kennedy. And then Taylor Pleasants will step up and things will look totally different. It's a testament to her ability.
Look at the batting average. For her standards, it's low, and she will tell you that. It hasn't been her dream season. But she was as confident, as smiling as ever, talking about her teammates lifting her up this year.
And with the outfield playing back, she flares it to shallow left in front of Kira Chan. Back-to-back singles, Gutierrez and Pleasants, with the third inning looking a little bit like the first.
Little flare shot here, jammed up. Nyjah throwing 70 miles an hour, a big swing from Pleasants, and this is the result. Any other pitcher that's going to be a pop-up to the shortstop, but because of the velocity that Nyjah gives in to the hitters, it finds itself in the grass.
Allie Newland, the senior from Georgia, struck out her first time. Graduated this month with a degree in mass communications and a 3.9 ERA GPA. She pops it foul as Barry converges on the ball for the first out.
It's going to be news to me if she pitched.
Well, she wouldn't want the 3.9 ERA either. Nyjah Kennedy going over and swapping out her pitch comm device. As Macy Bergeron gets ready to come up, 0 for 1 with a strikeout. Two-time Louisiana Gatorade Player of the Year. Strikes that off to the right side into the seats. A lot of competition to go chasing foul balls down here this weekend.
It was not this packed last weekend. I love this for Stanford.
Such a great atmosphere in what is the final iteration of this stadium. Next year, it's going to be undergoing renovation. Stanford will be on track for 2026 to have what will be, I think it's very safe to say, one of, if not the best stadiums in the country.
Pictures aren't public yet, but you and I got a look at what the renderings are going to look like yesterday, and as soon as this weekend wraps up, fences are going up and construction is starting.
So the plan for next year is for Stanford to play in the football stadium. And Jessica Allister said this to us yesterday: how many schools, especially with one that has as many sports to support as Stanford does, level, would give up some football space for the softball team? And they're going to do it, from what she said, in a way that will make this a phenomenal place to play while this space gets renovated.
I don't know if that's ever been done. If it has, someone let me know, but they're going to skin an infield, put up a padded fence, dugouts, the whole thing in the football stadium after the season is over for the football team.
Swing and a miss. Kennedy changes speeds and fools Bergeron, her fourth strikeout of the night.
The changeup that she throws off of her rise ball, it spins up. She grips it the same. It's just a little bit slower. And you're sitting rise. You're always sitting rise with Nyjah. You can never sit change. If you sit change and she throws you a rise ball, you are done for. You have to look at the hard stuff first. So you see the spin coming in and it's slower. It's just hard to do.
Pinch hitter here is Hannah Carson, replacing the freshman Madison Manning, who had grounded out. With Beth Torina sensing an opportunity to put some more runs on the board. The second-year graduate transfer from Michigan. 4 years with the Wolverines. 24-year-old with a 1-0 count. Bouncer to Mailer, who waits back on it, and her toss to second, just ahead of Pleasant's dive. The inning is over. Kennedy gets another strikeout, a second scoreless frame. Can't wait. We are rubbing our hands together, not only to stay warm here tonight at Stanford, but also because we are just 6 days away from the start of the World Series. Oklahoma going for a 4th straight this season. They're the first team in. Such an advantage to start out at home this weekend, or to be at home, I should say, this weekend, as Stanford is. Since the start of our current format back in 2005, host teams, as Stanford is, go on to the World Series 74% of the time. First pitch swinging, and it's a ground out to second base for Kira Chan. And the teams that win game 1 go on to the World Series 81% of the time. So last year, for example, 7 of the 8 hosts went to Oklahoma City, and the team that disrupted that number, the Stanford Cardinal, as they went to Durham, North Carolina, and beat Duke in 2 games. But Duke today, on the road, Columbia, Missouri, the 10th seeded Blue Devils, a 6-3 win over the Tigers, their first super regional win, as they're in supers for the 3rd straight year. Great relief from Cassidy Curd for 5 1/3 in that game. That's right to Pleasants, who gobbles it up, and Gutierrez holds the bag.
How aggressive are these hitters, the offenses, both LSU and Stanford? Everybody's just swinging first pitch, and to me that says elite pitching. It's in the scouting report. You don't want to face Sidney Brazan or Nyjah Kennedy with 2 strikes. So how do you counter that? You're going to get your best look at the first pitch in your at-bat.
Jessica Allister will join us shortly. Her enthusiasm with this team through the roof. But she wants them to play with the confidence that they deserve to have because of their accomplishments that have gotten them here, the number 8 national seed. Fascinating conversation talking about what it's like to be not just a student, but also an athlete at Stanford. She said, no matter how good you are, odds are somebody is better than you at whatever it is that you do, which is a humbling experience, but also challenges her players to always work harder.
She's someone that can talk the talk because she has walked the walk. One of the best catchers to ever graduate out of Stanford, and I just love to see an alum show her passion for her school and say, I want to come back. Was the coach at Minnesota. Had that team ranked number 1 at one point. So she comes back, and you snap your fingers, and all of a sudden Stanford is a relevant program again. And it's because of Coach Allister at third base.
Brazan has retired 8 of the last 9 Cardinal hitters. 3-2 to Kaneshiro. Backhand Pleasants. A 1-2-3 ground ball inning. 3 in the books. 3-1 LSU. And Jessica Allister joins us when we return here to the West Coast.
Ow.
3 in the books. LSU with a 3-1 lead over Stanford. And the Cardinal head coach Jessica Allister joining us now. Nyjah Kennedy, she is inimitable. She is original with what she does in the circle. Rough start for her with the 3 runs given up. How did you get her to settle down?
Yeah, no, I don't know that we did anything. I think, you know, we're just kind of settling into the game and figuring out the zone, figuring out the hitter's approach, and trusting our stuff and going at them. So, you know, I think she's doing a good job of getting us back in the dugout. I think we're doing a good job of getting the barrel on the ball. There's a lot of game left.
Coach, your hitters are very aggressive on the first couple of pitches. Maybe everyone except for Taryn. We know that she will see a lot of pitches, but just take us into the scouting there.
Yeah, we're trying to get a good pitch to hit. Obviously, Brazan's a really good pitcher. And if we let her get away with getting the ball over the plate and then are forced to chase a little bit, it's going to be a long night. So I think they're doing a pretty good job of getting them pitched to hit and getting their barrel to the ball.
Jessica Allister, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Three runs on 6 hits for LSU. Stanford, 1 run, 1 hit. That's the number 9 batter, Carly Petty. She'll be followed by Mackenzie Rudity, Sierra Briggs. As LSU gets ready to turn the lineup over and start a 3rd trip through against Kennedy. She wants to dial it up a little bit. Kennedy can really bring the heat.
It's pretty much as low as her rise can go. Now she has the ability to go upstairs. Or slow it down.
Either way, 5th strikeout.
She talked about her changeup development this year, and she feels as confident in that pitch as she does her rise ball, which is not what happened a season ago. It's not the way that she would get her outs last year. She said she's always wanted a good changeup, and it's been a priority in the off season. It's paying off this season.
Rudity left field, base hit. They have not retired her yet. 2 singles and a walk for Rudity.
Nyjah Kennedy has dominated the bottom half of the lineup for LSU. The top half has given her fits. It's been Rudity at the top, Sierra Briggs, Kelly Lynch, and then Raylene Gutierrez.
All the hits have come 1 through 5 in the lineup. Briggs reached on an error by Mailer at short and singled up the middle. Sierra Briggs, yesterday, we sat at a picnic table beyond the left field fence after they finished up their practice. She was a little bit sentimental about her career. It's like that quote from The Office, "I wish we could know when we're in the good old days." She does know that that's exactly where she is. She doesn't want this to be the last weekend of her career. And jokingly, she said, "Coach, I could give you 4 more years. I'm ready."
And then on the flip side, we were talking to Coach Tarina. She was getting teary-eyed talking about her seniors.
Legitimately.
She's like, I can't do it. We can't talk about it. They mean too much to me.
The former Florida pitcher, Beth Tarina. Former walk-on, as a matter of fact. And you'll hear it player after player talk about their development as people has so much to do with the care and the love that is invested in them for Beth Tarina.
And one thing, talking to both coaches on the field, that just came out was Coach Alistair and Coach Tarina just exuding so much care for these women on their teams, of course, on the field, but also off the field.
So Kennedy goes off speed for back-to-back strikeouts. She lulls the hitters into a 2-strike count and then has her way, her 6th strikeout.
It's a good sign for Nyjah. LSU trying to put together the inning they put together in the first when Mackenzie Rudity had a base hit. Sierra Briggs followed.
And Kelly Lynch goes after the first pitch. After she doubled against Kennedy her first time up, Kennedy has gotten her to ground out in the last 2. Just 4 batters in the 4th as Kennedy holds once again. LSU, first inning, a 3 spot against Nyjah Kennedy. Kelly Lynch moved into the 3 spot in the lineup, comes through with an RBI double to score Mackenzie Rudity. Next batter, Raylene Gutierrez, 2-run single. Briggs scores. Lynch motors around third. LSU's slogan all year has been "Deal us in," and they know sometimes the cards ain't worth a dime if you don't lay them down. And the top of this lineup has come through in a major way as Stanford now comes up and a first pitch swing, fly ball right field. Kaylin Koch hits it right at Mackenzie Rudity, who has to go back a few steps.
The aggression early in the count just continues. It's a nice drop step from Rudity. This is something that she makes look so easy. Sees it deep, tucks her glove. You don't see her running with her glove out. She's looking athletic. It's a great catch.
Sydney Brazon has retired 9 of the last 10 Cardinal hitters. The only base runner since the first was Caitlin Lim with a 2-out walk in the second. And it's now 5 in a row retired. Here with Jade Berry at the plate. Jade Berry is going to be another cornerstone of this program for years to come. With what she's done stepping in at third base. She bounces it over Brazon. It's a long run for Petty, and Berry is safe at first base. So just the second Cardinal hit and their first since the first inning. For the third straight year, the NCAA Division I Women's Lacrosse National Championship game available on ESPN. Northwestern a winner today. Boston College victorious 1-2 Sunday noon Eastern on ESPN for the title. As we wind our way here in the college softball world to Oklahoma City, World Series starts Thursday from OKC. One team is in already, Oklahoma, the 3-time defending champions. And this game 1 of this best-of-3 series between LSU and Stanford. And we'll get some insight from Beth Torina. Top of the 5th inning. She'll join us before the Tigers come to the plate.
It's a tough task for Brazon, the righty. You look at the lineup for Stanford, only one right-handed hitter. And lefties are just harder to put away. It's just a fact. They're shorter to the ball. Stanford has a couple of slap hitters, but the majority of them swing away.
14 of the 18 in starting lineups hit from the left-hand side.
And it's interesting because these staffs, we don't have a lefty in the circles. So you have a righty going against all these left-handed hitters. Righties like to face righties. Look at Nyjah Kennedy's batting average, lefty versus righty. It's completely different.
It's a cold third strike. That sends Mailer back to the dugout.
Goes to the change. She needed it. Hadn't shown it. Gotta use it. A little bit off speed there with the curve. It's an off-speed pitch. It's an off-speed curveball. You have a changeup, and then you have an off-speed, and that's that middle speed.
Off the end of the bat, Petty trots in, puts it away. The inning is over. Jade Berry with Stanford's first hit since the first, but Brazon quickly gets out of it. Her head coach, Beth Torina, joins us when we come back. Softball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. It's 3-1 LSU in the lead over Stanford. The first meeting between these two teams since 2019. And Tigers head coach Beth Torina now joins us. Well, in the first inning, it was only the third time in Nyjah Kennedy's career she's given up 3 runs in a game. What was your reaction to that top of the first?
I just felt like our team came out prepared. They were ready. They were excited. So I had a feeling there was probably a stat like that was going to come up at some point because she's so incredibly talented. So I knew it had to be a rare occasion for that to happen.
Well, Coach, take me through putting Kelly Lynch in the 3-hole. You haven't done that all year. Why do it now?
Well, just thought she was a good matchup. Just her swing playing and the things she does. I thought she was a good matchup. She's also the one person on the team we knew had seen her before, being a transfer from the pack. We knew she'd seen her before and had some experience. So we're big believers in Kelly Lynch, big Kelly Lynch fans over here. So we think she's going to, do it all.
We appreciate it, Beth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first at bat proved to be a smart choice.
Crushed it.
Ripped a double down the left field line. Part of that 3-run first inning. Raylene Gutierrez leads off for LSU. Here on the top of the 5th. Beth has been keeping busy too. She's got not only this team, but the 10U Mudbugs team that her kids play on. It sounds like there's no rest in the Torina household between gymnastics and youth softball. And, oh, by the way, the LSU Tigers.
Yeah, shout out to the Mudbugs. That is the best team name I've ever heard. Their colors are purple and teal. And Coach Torina made the team so that way she could kind of control the schedule and make sure things were working with her life for her daughter's lives. There's nothing like 10U softball, let me tell you.
Say more.
There's so much going on, it's chaotic. The best cheers come out of 10U softball. Not even close.
I have a lot of questions. I'm not sure we have enough time for all the answers.
There's a whole presentation on what 10U softball is all about.
Mike Cousins, Kenzie Fowler, the 2-time All-American pitcher at the University of Arizona, here with you at Stanford. 3-2 to Gutierrez.
It's probably so refreshing for her to have that, watch her daughters play 10U. It's the same sport, and when you're playing 10U, you are playing for the love of the game. So many of the youngsters are playing different sports at that time, so you're not a specialized athlete at all. You're just out there playing softball because it sounds fun. You watch it on TV. Yeah, let's play some softball. What should we call our team?
Shallow right center field. Gutierrez deposits that in front of Lim for a leadoff single, and Gutierrez is 3 for 3. So no doubt Taryn Tatum Tenley in the Torina household will be happy with the outcome of that at bat for Gutierrez.
I don't know if I've ever seen a hitter looked as dialed in and as comfortable as Raylene Gutierrez has tonight against Nyjah Kennedy. I just don't think I've seen it. I've seen good at-bats. I've seen home runs. We saw Sierra Sacco had a solo shot against Nyjah last weekend, but consistently 3 at-bats in a row where you're seeing multiple pitches, fouling off the right stuff, swinging at the strikes in the zone, and then coming up with 3 hits. That is so hard to do.
Maya Townsend comes in as a pinch runner at first base, spelling Gutierrez with Taylor Pleasance up. Pleasance at the end of her eligibility, but she'll be back next year as a graduate assistant for the Tigers. She works her way through a master's program. And this summer, she's going to play for Team USA in Japan for the All-Star Series, working her way through a master's in kinesiology. The goal for Pleasance, still 4 years out, although a lot of work to be done before that to play representing the United States in the Olympics in Los Angeles in 2028.
Her and Nyjah were teammates last summer with Team USA.
She pushes the bunt. That's fair up the line. Ava Gall just made a mistake. She picked it up. She may have thought it was foul or was going foul, but it stayed on the chalk and was absolutely fair.
You could tell her first reaction was to let it go foul, and I don't know why she touched it. If you're going to let it go foul until the ball stops. Remember, this is a very young infield.
Jessica Allister, I think, is asking the question to the umpire crew, did that hit Pleasance out of the box, which would make her out?
Well, it's definitely fair.
And I think that's what she wants to know, is when Pleasance came up the line, was there a graze? So this will go to replay review. The second challenge of the night from Jessica Allister. She challenged a call on an infield single by Ali Kaneshiro earlier in the game, won that challenge, and goes for it again. So as it stands now, it's a bunt for Pleasance that gets her aboard to first, pushes Townsend up to second. And we'll get our magnifying glasses out here to see if this hit Taylor Pleasance.
You have to have your feet in the box. Right here is where Coach Allister is making her argument. I didn't see it. I don't think I see it there. I think she just runs right through it. I just don't know why Ava Gall touched this. I don't know why she picked it up. If you're gonna let it go until the ball stops.
There's no good outcome.
See if you can see the ball make any change, and we're not seeing that.
No, they would need indisputable video evidence to overturn the call on the field, and you can see the home plate umpire, Scott Mayer, was right on top of that, pointing that it was a fair ball. And this is a relatively quick turnaround for this replay review. So Taylor Pleasance stays safe at first base.
Well, if anything, that challenge does is maybe just calm the momentum down for a second. So I think that's a smart review. If you feel like you have a chance at it, okay, burn your second review. But to me, if Taylor Pleasance is safe there and you just let the momentum keep turning, I get it. I get the challenge.
And a visit to the circle from pitching coach Tori Nyberg. This is really smart here. This is almost like, now granted it's situational too, where you're going to have Allie Newland coming up, runners at first and second. But it's like immediate timeout followed by a coach calling a timeout.
Totally.
You extend the downtime, let everybody catch their breath on what has been a highly unusual night for Kennedy.
100%. And you'll see a lot of coaches use their video replay opportunity to use it for, like, you're icing the kicker almost.
Reagan Krause, the senior, warming in the bullpen with first and second and nobody out. And Allie Newland at the plate. She is 0 for 2. Hitters 6 through 9 are a combined 0 for 8 in the lineup. Newland hit 6th.
I was really surprised to see Newland swinging away first pitch. No outs, going to the sacrifice there after swinging, fouling it off. First pitch of the at-bat. I would go sacrifice again here.
You lay down the bunt, you move the runners over, and the expectancy way higher, but that is crushed right field and way out of here for Allie Newland. She breaks it open here in the 5th with a 3-run bomb to right field, and LSU has a 6-1 lead. An absolutely unprecedented night against Nyjah Kennedy.
Well, we'll take that one. I think we set Allie Newland up perfectly. You were talking about how the bottom of the lineup was 0 for 6. I'm sitting here going, yeah, great time to sacrifice bunt. The senior has other plans. Absolutely sits on it. They know. They know what that swing means. Man, I have chills. That was, whew, moment of the day, maybe.
because Nyjah Kennedy gave up 3 runs in the first. It just got absolutely bonkers. She gives up a 3-run home run to Allie Newland, 6-1 LSU, and turns it over to the senior Reagan Krause, their number 2 pitcher this year, who last weekend 7 innings, Kenzie, and the numbers are ones she'd probably like to forget.
Those numbers from last weekend don't speak to the year that the senior has had in the circle. It's been her career year. But last weekend, coming in relief off Nyjah Kennedy, the teams in the regional that weekend were all over Reagan Krause, and so looking to change the game here. Of course, you're going to take out your ace with 6 runs on the board for LSU, and Krause works low in the zone, and Nyjah Kennedy works up in the zone, mid-60s, but a very young team, 2 seniors on the team, and Reagan Krause is one of them. Without a doubt, the team leader.
So 3 batters came to the plate. Gutierrez single to right. Pleasance single up the first base line. Newland with her 9th home run of the season over the wall in right.
Just can't get over what we just saw.
From stoic face to jaw on the floor. Where are you right now?
Jaw on the floor.
And this is given a ride out to left, and it is out of here. Back-to-back home runs. Macy Bergeron goes deep out to left. 7-1 LSU. It is a Bayou Bengal bonanza here in Stanford.
New pitcher, same result for LSU. It's a rise. It goes up in the zone. Krause is usually lower in the zone. Yesterday when we were talking to Coach Tarina, the main thing that I took away from our almost hour-long conversation with LSU, the players, the coaches, is how hungry this team is to get to Oklahoma City. This is a very veteran squad. We know the senior class that they have. They also have a lot of juniors. And they have been on the wrong side of things the last couple of years. This is a team that is coming out with a statement. We want to make it to Oklahoma City. They're swinging for that right now.
They've now in the postseason, since the start of the SEC tournament, outscored their opposition 31-7. And the offense is coming to life here late in the season. In the regional final against Southern Illinois last Sunday, 9-0 win in 5 innings was their highest scoring game of the year. And they matched their season high with 3 homers. And here tonight they've got 2 in back-to-back fashion. They count 3-1 for Madison Manning with her 2nd plate appearance of the night. They pinch hit for her in the 3rd. LSU's hunger to get back to the World Series because of the way things have gone over the last couple of years. Nobody on this roster has been as a player. 2017 was their last appearance, but this is their first trip to Super since 2021. Last year eliminated by Louisiana in their regional 2 years ago, lost in just 2 games against San Diego State and Cal State Fullerton. Titans played here last weekend in their 32nd trip to the postseason.
Just the fact that they have 2 home runs in this game. Keep in mind, this is not a home run hitting team. They put the ball in play, yes, but they really don't hit the long ball.
Manning pounds it over to short. And there, 5 batters into the 5th. is the first out of the inning. In fact, their OPS as a team 11th in the 16-team Super Regional round. Carly Petty 0 for 2, couple of strikeouts. That's well hit left center field. Petty has her first hit of the night. A one-out single. So, what do we say? 6 through 9 in the lineup. We're 0 for 8, and now they're 3 for 4 here in this inning.
Oh, Ellie Newland hurt us. Said, never mind. We'll just flip that real quick.
5 hits in 6 batters for LSU in this fifth. Mackenzie Urruti yet to be retired. 2 for 2 with a walk. Mackenzie, you and I were here last weekend, and you go into Sunday, there's going to be one team that needs 1 win to go to Supers, one team that needs 2. Last weekend, the latter team was Cal State Fullerton going up against Stanford. Chopper up the middle, it's Mailer, it gets past her into center field, and a single for Urruti. In that game where Cal State Fullerton needed to win 2, they got the first one. Final score in that game, 8-1 in favor of the Titans. Looking eerily similar to last weekend on that Sunday, the regional final day for Stanford. But what did they do? They came back and they won.
We were talking to Coach Allister about that, and she kind of recognized the fact that maybe her team was a little tense. She said, we're a business-like type of team, but I would like them to be a little bit looser. And so if you can put up a couple of runs, I'm not asking LSU to put up 7. They put up 3 in the first, but if you can put up a couple of runs against Stanford, kind of press that issue a little bit, who knows what can happen.
And in that second to last game, the penultimate outing, the start went to Reagan Krause. Jessica Allister said, even though it didn't go well, I would do the same thing again, because she has been not only a leader in the clubhouse, but a leader in the circle, and a 20-game winner this year, and there are not a lot of those left in the postseason. Briggs off of Krause, first base side, glove scoop, and it's not in time. And Briggs is aboard. Bases are loaded.
For LSU right now, you're looking for 2. That's your magic number, 2 runs. We're here in the 5th. It happened very quickly. I feel like the first 4 innings of this game just cruised through. But now this is a big inning. Already 4 on the board in this 5th inning. Bases loaded, only 1 out. This is the dangerous part of the lineup.
Kelly Lynch is the only player who's yet to come to the plate here in the inning. And this is a moment, a player-led moment. We saw this earlier today, or this weekend, I should say. Michaela Edenfield, catcher for Florida State, realizes they're in a precarious spot, calls time, takes control, and that's Ali Kanashiro's role on this team.
Yeah, it is an interesting makeup for Stanford defensively. You look out and you see 2 sophomores up the middle, 2 true freshmen on the corners, and then the 2 seniors, and Reagan Krause in the circle, Ali Kanashiro behind the plate, also the other senior.
Lynch is the 9th batter of the inning. 4 runs have come across on 7 hits. Tigers knocking Kennedy out of the game, bringing Krause in. Oh my goodness! Way out of here! Grand slam, Kelly Lynch! 3rd homer of the inning.
Grand slam for LSU.
What did Coach Tarina say in her interview? We are huge Kelly Lynch fans. Puts her in the 3-hole for the first time all year. She's a graduate transfer from the University of Washington. Coach Tarina says, we wish we had more years with this young lady. She's been, majority of her time this season for LSU has been in the circle. I just love to see that moment for Coach Tarina. I love to see that moment for the 5th-year senior and Kelly Lynch. There's just something brewing right now for LSU.
On a night where Nyjah Kennedy was starting in the circle opposite Sydney Berzon, who had 12 runs on the board. And in the bottom of the 5th inning, LSU will be 3 outs away from a run rule victory in game 1. And now Kylie Chung takes over here, down 10 in the 5th. This is stunning.
Stunning. There's only 1 out in this inning. 16 hits.
8 of them in this inning.
They are hyped. I'm already looking forward. My eyes, I'm just thinking preparation-wise to tomorrow for Stanford. How do you rebound from this? This is a devastating super regionals. LSU coming out, coming across the country. They're a team that thought, hey, coming here, we thought we should be a top 8 seed. It's no disrespect to Stanford. We thought they were capable as well, but it's just within our ball club, we thought we deserved that top 8 seed. Put your head down, get on the bus, get on the plane, have a long flight over, make a statement.
It raises the question. Now as Raylene Gutierrez comes to the plate for the 2nd time in this inning. She started it all with a single out to shallow right center field. Already 8 runs in the inning, 11 total on 15 hits. LSU says we've got the formula down. Our preparation, our scouting report was right on against the best pitcher in the country. And Stanford thinks, well, we've got the best pitcher in the country, and there's no way you're going to do that to her again.
Yeah, film goes both ways. So guarantee you that Stanford and Nyjah, Coach Nyberg, will be watching this film. You've got to break it down. Got to take a look. What went wrong? And I guarantee you Coach Tarina's phone is about to be lit up after this game. Tell us your secrets, please. How are you doing this?
One of the things that the LSU hitters said about facing Kennedy was not to let her climb the ladder too much. How did you see that play out in their approach?
Aggressive early. Trying to get your swing off is what they say, one of the first 2 pitches. And so Nyjah's trying to set the tone. Her first 7 batters, every single batter, it was a first pitch strike. And so then you saw her kind of pitch backwards. She was going up out of the zone. LSU, the veteran presence for me, you look at all of the seniors in the lineup, there's 5 of them in a row from the 2 to 6 hole. And they were very calm. They took the pitches where Nyjah was trying to pitch backwards, recognizing the aggressiveness, and then fell behind, got into a hitter's count, and it just got worse from there.
Gall keeps it in front of her, retires Gutierrez, 2nd out of the inning. Going up against Kylie Chung, who of the 4 pitchers to work innings this year, she threw the fewest. That's just her 30th inning of the year, getting that out there. What makes Stanford a great unit is you can ask any player up and down the roster, because Chung did not play last weekend in their 4 regional games. And one of the questions I always like to ask is, well, who's somebody on your team who doesn't get enough credit? And Ali Kaneshiro said it, River Mailer said it, Jade Berry. Everybody on this roster, from the first player to the last player, has a role that they play that is important for us. For Chung last weekend, as Stanford was in relatively a comfortable spot, she helped them keep things loose.
Well, it was an interesting answer when, like you're talking about, they said everyone doesn't get enough credit. But to me, the way I took that is because Nyjah Kennedy gets all of the talk. Everyone is locked in on her. When you think about Stanford softball, you think about Nyjah Kennedy. She's one of the faces of our sport. So I feel like the rest of the team was like, hey, we deserve some credit too. But to be clear, it's going to go through her arm. She's going to have to rebound tomorrow. She will get the start. She will get the ball. She will have to face this lineup again and make adjustments.
So 3 home runs in this game, 3 home runs in their regional final against Southern Illinois. Back-to-back 3-homer games, and all 3 home runs in this inning. Pleasance turns on that, bounces into the corner. Lim takes the carom off the wall, and Taylor Pleasance has a 2-out double.
One thing we were talking to LSU about offensively is this year they started something called Two-Strike Tuesday. And on Tuesday, all of their reps offensively, whether it's in the cage on a tee or it's on the field on BP, your approach is with 2 strikes. And so I talked about how they are not a home run hitting team, but to me in postseason, hitting home runs, you're facing Nyjah Kennedy. I know I say that tongue in cheek with 3 home runs and looking down here in the 5th, but it's the approach, it's the mindset. You've got to stay short. The home runs will come from that. LSU is not going to the plate with a big leg kick going, we're going to hit this ball 220 dead center. They're going shorten up, barrel to the ball, 2-strike Tuesday. And then home runs will come.
Allie Newland at the plate. As Savannah Bedell pinch runs for Taylor Pleasance out at second with this 11-1 lead. 8 runs across here on the 5th for LSU after 3 in the 1st. Kylie Chung in the circle, the 3rd pitcher of the inning after it started with Nyjah Kennedy, then Reagan Krause. And that pitch gets away from Chung and off the helmet of Newland. Oof. Hope she's all right. So she'll get examined, first base. Gives the Tigers 2 out and 2 on. And the 2-strike Tuesday approach that they took this year, courtesy of Bryce Neal, a new assistant coach who came over after working in Holly April's program at the University of Louisville and replacing Lindsay Leftwich, longtime Beth Torina assistant, head coach at NC State in her first year. And Newland comes out of the game here with Madeline Giglio going to run over at first base. 16 hits is a season high. 3 homers ties their tally from just their last game on Sunday. And basically 1 out of every 2 times they've had a runner in scoring position, they've come through with a base hit.
Taylor Pleasance called it 2K poise. When you have 2 strikes, How poised are you? And to be honest, when you're facing Nyjah Kennedy, you kind of feel like you have 2 strikes the first pitch of the at-bat. It's just that daunting of a situation. You've watched her on TV, you know the velocity, you're feeling it, you're watching it, the warm-ups. And so you have to go up there with a different approach. And that 2K poise, the 2-strike Tuesday, has paid off.
Macy Bergeron with 2 out and 2 on. Solo home run, her 4th of the year. Earlier here in the 5th. Off of Barry's glove, third base. Mailer takes the carom and turns it into the 3rd out. And immediately LSU wants a challenge. They are not going off the field. Well, you just knew this was going to be a close play after the ball bounced off of Barry's glove and right over to River Mailer. And even up 10, LSU wants to keep this thing going.
Bergeron just ripped this, and then Mailer has a cannon at short. Oof.
I think she'll be safe. Ball's got to be in the back of Gall's glove before the foot touches the bag.
I could see it being safe. I could also see that there's not enough to overturn.
So the call on the field was out.
There's one thing that I've taken away from bang bang plays at first base on video review is that my 10U coaches were right. You want to hit the front of the base when you are hustling down the line, because so many times we'll see the runners be on top of the base, and that's the difference between out and safe. Bergeron does a nice job here. She hits the front a little bit high, but it's pretty much textbook there. I don't know, I'm 50-50. I really am.
The more angles I watch, the more I'm able to convince myself that any outcome is possible. But with the call on the field being out and the necessary standard being indisputable video evidence, I would not be surprised if the call on the field is uphill.
Well, Coach Torina wants this to be safe. She just wants to keep giving her hitters more at-bats, more confidence that they can build, more times they can just get their swings off. That's what they say.
Bergeron coming to the plate was the 13th plate appearance of the inning for an LSU Tiger. 8 runs across. Call has been relayed back to the umpiring crew here. And the call on the field is upheld, and Bergeron is out. The inning is over. But a 3-homer inning for LSU gives them a 10-run advantage as 8 come across here in the 5th. Huge swings all around. Allie Newland with a 3-run homer. Macy Bergeron a solo shot, and Kelly Lynch with a grand slam to cap off the Tigers parade. Regionals presented by Capital One. All LSU tonight here at Stanford. 11-1 as the Tigers lead. Oklahoma State a winner over Arizona earlier today. Florida over Baylor, and number 16 seeded Texas over Texas A&M. It is not a result you see often. 16-1. And the last time that happened was 2018, Kentucky and Oregon. Mike White, the head coach of Texas at the time, was the head coach of Oregon. And there have only been 2 16-seed series wins. Hawaii over Alabama, Georgia over Florida.
Oof, I will never forget either one of those. Those iconic moments in our sport.
I'm not going to bring it up. Our former colleague, Caleb Rowe, will not forget either. Now an assistant coach with the Alabama Crimson Tide, who fell late against Tennessee earlier today in Knoxville. Pleasance eaten up by the ball at short, and Lim is aboard safely.
What's going on today? LSU offense, Taylor Pleasance making errors. It's like backwards day. She can field that ball with her eyes closed. She knows it.
It's been a while since LSU has committed an error.
I think they'll take the 11 runs.
Yeah, you live with that. You'll live with that.
We're going to have backwards day. It's pretty, we've got it going pretty good.
Stanford needs to score at least 3 to send this game to the 6th. Otherwise, a run rule win for LSU here in 5. Tomorrow's going to be a long day for both teams. Nervous anticipation of what's to come. Kern to second and on to first. Just a hair late as Petty tried to get the double play. For LSU, 2 outs away from the victory. And then there'd be 1 win away from their first trip to the World Series since 2017. Stanford, of course, was there a year ago, the 3rd time in their history.
Well, day 2 of Super Regionals always shows if a team has a solid number 2 or not. And we know that for Stanford, we're going to see Nyjah, but for LSU, we teased the trio of arms that we saw in regionals last weekend. My guess is Kelly Lynch. That's probably who I think Coach Trina will give the ball to. Sydney Berzon, though, let's talk about her. Gives up the 1 run in the first and then just shuts it down.
It's hard to say anybody's performance goes under the radar in a game like this.
100% with you.
But Sydney Berzon has, because she's just been so quick and efficient with these short 3-4 batter innings.
Yep.
And then she sits and waits in the dugout as 14 batters come to the plate and score 8 runs in the 5th.
This is only her 21st batter of the game. Pitch count is under 100. Seen a lot of ground ball outs, using the drop ball down in the zone.
Ava Gall with a frozen rope into left field keeps things alive for Stanford. Well, maybe there was something in the air tonight for the sophomore from Buffalo, New York, in what's got to be the coldest first pitch temperature of the weekend, registering at 59 degrees. Winter hats, blankets, hoodies all around here at Smith Family Stadium. And just maybe, that's the climate where Sydney Berzon feels most at home. She's well-traveled, grew up in Buffalo, spent her high school years in Tennessee at boarding school, and now plays in the heat and humidity of Baton Rouge. But she still says Buffalo is always going to be home. An LSU chant breaks out here at Stanford as Ali Kaneshiro will see at least 1 more pitch.
Berzon just makes hitters so uncomfortable when she gets ahead 0-2. That's why we saw Stanford be aggressive all day today, but results were a lot of ground balls to the infield for LSU.
Strike 3 called. The ball game is over. LSU with an 11-1 victory over Stanford. And the Tigers are one win away from returning to the World Series for the first time since 2017.
16 hits. 16 hits. I don't think anyone expected the offense that we saw tonight. And let's just say the fifth inning. 8 runners scored in the fifth. 8 runs were pushed. A run rule win. You just don't see run rules at this stage against the best pitcher in the country. And then we'll give a shout out to Berzon. 3 hits, handling business, putting up a 0 in the last inning to kind of close it out.
Our Capital One rewarding performance comes from a first-time experience. Kelly Lynch hitting 3rd in the lineup for the first time in her LSU career. And her grand slam in the 5th drives in 4 of the 8 runs in that inning. Lynch goes 2 for 4. She started the night in the first with an RBI double, so she drives in 5 of the 11 runs. And now it's Stanford needing a win tomorrow to send this to a winner-take-all game 3. Texas A&M in a similar position on the road with the upset victory over the #1 seed Texas today. Oklahoma State and Florida also victorious in their first games. What a night for LSU, coming across the country, getting the win, and doing it against the best pitcher in college softball this year. Final score, Tigers 11, Cardinal 1. For our entire crew and my partner Kenzie Fowler, I'm Mike Cousins saying thank you so much for staying up late with us tonight. We are back here tomorrow, game 2 in this best-of-3 series. So long.